just my notes. Morena kia koutou katoa. Good to see you all after what potentially I could describe as a robust evening last night. Before we get underway, Kelly's just going to get our morning off and our day off, our final day of the conference off with a karakia. Tēnā koutou.
Tēnā tātou, he mihi ana kia koutou, hoki mai ki tēnei ata, hoki mai ki tēnei rātua rua, no reira a hako e iti, ka taharo mai tonu te rahi, no reira tēnā tātou. Tātou karakia e tātanei. Ka hura, te ao kapu au ka hāpara. E tū te ata ko te ata tū, ko te ata ki te a. Ua kina ki te wehenuku rangi, ua kina ki te wehenuku ārangi. Tūturua mau ki au tīna, haumi e, hui e, tāhi e.
Tēnā koe hoa. Nau I whakatau tātou I tā rānei. Thank you for settling us in for today. Like I said, I hope you had a great night last night. A few empty tables. So maybe there's still a few stragglers yet to come in. Congratulations to all of our winners from last night and also to all of those who were nominated. So congratulations to everyone, and I'm sure it was a fun night with Paddy Gower. On his best behaviour, maybe not. Anyway, welcome to day 2 of Connections. Now we've had a few changes to the program today. You will all be delighted to know that you may be getting out of here around about an hour earlier than scheduled. Rachel Tolele, who was to join us after lunch, unfortunately she's got an illness in the whānau, so she won't be joining us today. And then Paul McGregor, who was joining us for one of the concurrent sessions on leading by facilitation. He is unwell, so he won't be with us, but that concurrent session will become an all-in with our funding panel, which will happen in this room. So our thoughts are with Rachel and Paul, but as a result of that, as I said, our program has been brought forward, which means you should be all done and dusted by 3:15. And the lovely thing about that is we will have afternoon tea straight after we close everything. So before you rush off, it's another opportunity to be able to connect in with one another. This morning, we are going to be hearing from some of our award finalists from last night. These finalists from the Community Impact Award and the Environmental Sustainability Award. They'll share their work and how their great initiatives are helping to create a brighter future for all New Zealanders through physical activity. So I will ask Karen Laurie and Junior Armstrong from Sport NZ to come to the stage to introduce this morning's session.
Ata Mārie, ko Karen Laurie toka wingwa, and I'm the Tamariki lead with Sport New Zealand, and it is absolutely a wonderful pleasure and an honour to be standing here to introduce to you our finalists and these sector stories. We think this is a real highlight of the conference because you can actually learn and hear from people who are doing some amazing mahi on the ground, impacting community and people. We've got the 6 finalists from, as Jenny May has noted, the Community Impact Award and the Environmental Sustainability Award. And we're having what's called a Pikachu session. Many of you may know what that means. Pecha Kucha, actually, not Pikachu, but I think it's a really nice kind of play on words that didn't come from me, that came from one of our finalists, and I thought it was fabulous. Pecha Kucha actually does mean, in Japanese, chit-chat. So this is a great opportunity for us to hear and listen to the chit-chat from these incredible people who've done this mahi. It is short, so there won't be time for questions, but what we encourage you to do is perhaps have a pen and paper ready, write down some notes, some thoughts, because all of our finalists have expressed an interest in connecting with you later, hearing and understanding what you're doing so we can all progress our mahi in this area. The first finalists we're going to hear are from the Environmental Sustainability Award, our new category. And for those of you that were here last year and might remember Dr. Rod Carr's incredible presentation where he really challenged us to think about climate change and environmental sustainability in our sector. I very clearly remember his words, hope is not a strategy. Now these finalists have certainly taken that to heart and are doing some really amazing concrete examples where hope is not part of that strategy. So I'd like you to join me in welcoming our first of these finalists, the General Manager for Golf New Zealand, Jacob Cameron, who's going to talk about his Golf is Green project, which has been hugely influential, and Jacob has been pivotal in leading that. So welcome, Jacob.
Ate Maria, e te whānau, ko Jacob toko noa. I haven't yet moved to Golf New Zealand. I'm still at Auckland Golf as the CEO. And this is the Golf is Green project. This is Pakaranga Golf Course, where I have a lower score of 94. So my best golf is done off the course rather than on the course. Golf is Green is a collaboration approach, and so I want to challenge you to think of collaboration as we talk through this. Auckland Council and Auckland Golf working with the golf courses throughout Tamaki Makaurau on their environmental work. This is Titirangi, lower score 101 with a 3-putt on the 18th. We're going to talk about that. But you'll be well aware of Light Club and the amazing mahi that they were doing. I'd worked with them in previous roles, and when I got to Auckland Golf, we decided that we were looking at the greenhouse gas emissions on the course as well as the environmental impact in the clubhouse. That led to a discussion with DOC, who also had some funding, and they were looking at what we were doing on the periphery of the golf clubs, and they wanted to implement a dad joke of a short par 4, trap the pest, get native birds, get more birds, plant a tree. And then the Auckland Council came on board. And they were doing environmental studies and work with golf courses as well. And all of a sudden we're saying, well, hang on, there's a whole heap of work going on. How can we do this together? This is my favourite photo of the slides. This is Mangakiki, 94, Akarana, 96. And as you can see with the urban sprawl there, we say that the golf courses are the heart and lungs of the urban environment, and this proves it. And given all of the rain we've had recently, I challenge you and say we're the bladder and liver as well. I got sick of doing this. I got my kids to do this next slide. But this is pretty much what it was like when we went out and spoke with all our golf courses. There was work going on everywhere, and it was all over the show. And we were looking at it going, right, this is happening here, this is happening here. We need to capture this information. We need to pull it all together and work collaboratively. As we've got DOC and we've got the council involved, how can we do this in one focused way? So we did a sexy title of Golf Club Ecological Audit, but it was fascinating to see. It was really amazing to see all the work that's going on individually by the golf courses. There's a lot of pest trapping. There's a lot of work on environmental sustainability. There's a lot of work on moving towards electric vehicles. Water usage is key, of course, on golf courses, looking at solar panels as well, solar energy. And we realised that there's a whole heap of work out there. So this is what we've done, pulled it all together. We now undertake ecological enhancement reports. We've done 24 of the 32 golf clubs that we can do. Now, then we connect all those golf courses with community organisations that will help them with their environmental work. Now we need to capture the analytics. And so that's what we're starting to do with the GEO sustainability card. One of the key outcomes for that is that we will then be able to have a report not only for the golf clubs, but also for Tamaki Makaurau in general. And for us, the key is community connection.
topical, some of them were more current. And as Andrea said last night, firstly, we're so grateful for those who came forward first to the media and also as part of the independent review to talk about their experiences so that we could learn. Some of those people then became part of our steering committee, you see up here, and they were really drivers in the beginning of our journey in addressing the problems that we had within our culture and our sport.
So the first thing I think Gymnastics New Zealand did, and they did it before I joined, is that we went all in. This wasn't an issue that could be resolved by writing a table and doing a flowchart. We had to lean into some really difficult conversations. I want to talk to you about three big things that we did. The first one is the work in safeguarding. The second one is what we did around athlete voice and hearing from our often very young participants. And finally, we're going to talk to you about the very sexy topics of complaints policies.
So with safeguarding, we made that a real priority, and what that looks like for gymnastics is a couple of key things. Firstly, setting clear expectations. All clubs must have a current child protection policy. All coaches must be police vetted and have safeguarding training. All clubs must have a named and trained safeguarding lead. We then provided support to wrap around that, and we put in place compliance. So we made it a requirement of affiliation for all clubs to meet all of those requirements.
And you can think you know what's going on in head office, but you don't. You've got no idea unless you actually talk to your athletes. In gymnastics, that's particularly challenging, as 85% of our athletes are under the age of 12. So we did a lot of work early on in putting in place athlete voice. We put athletes onto each of our technical committees, which are the bodies that govern our sport. But we learnt really quickly that putting people in the position isn't enough. You've actually got to support them. You've got to give them a structure to work within.
Reviewing our competition attire rules gave us an opportunity to seek out athlete voice, make tangible change as a result of that voice, and demonstrate that we were listening. While the majority actually said that they preferred to wear just a leotard, the need for choice was summed up with two comments on a feedback wall. The first, when asked what people felt when they wore their competition attire, the first comment was, like a superhero. And the second comment just next to it was, ashamed. And that really highlighted for us the need for that change. And now we have a range of options that means that you get to choose with safety and well-being as the centre of that.
And you might be sitting out here going, but we don't get any complaints. I'm going to tell you one thing, that's a really bad sign. So the biggest thing we learned is that, one of the first things I changed actually was the metric for success is not less complaints, it's more complaints. By leaning in and hearing about issues early, you're able to resolve them and really create culture change. So we completely refreshed our policy to allow us to do that.
And an example of what that change is starting to look like in terms of community impact came across my desk a couple of weeks ago, where we had a parent come in via our website. We have an online form where you can raise a concern or a complaint, and they had some feedback that some comments from one of the coaches of their child felt like body shaming. Because we were able to get that issue early, what that looked like was talking to the club talking to the coach, and it became an opportunity for development for that coach, rather than a complaint, rather than potentially that child dropping out of the sport.
So I guess if we're going to finish with a message, it's that this has been hard, but it's been totally worth it. One of the big things we did was take all of the findings from our review and integrate it into our strategy. Our purpose is to enable positive gymnastics experiences for our community, and that lesson is built into every single thing we do. So doing that in 30-second bites has been quite challenging, but hopefully you've got something useful out of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers team, and good effort backing up last night's celebrations with a good presentation. When we think about community, we think about local delivery, we think about people serving their local communities and doing good things alongside the people that they're representing. And it's my pleasure to bring to the stage Oxford Football Club and Keith, the chairman there. Mō ora.
Good morning. I'm really pleased to talk to you today about the unique challenges that we face within our community and how we need to tackle them. We're a small family club that operates out of a container on public recreation land. Yet despite that, in several areas, we're setting new ground for community club sport strategy in New Zealand. Some of those firsts include our Free Kids football programme, the appointment of a wellbeing officer within our committee, and being the first club in New Zealand to be accredited as a Safe for All club for New Zealand football. The need for change was urgent. Less than a month out from the start of last season, we had just 20 children registered. We've heard similar stories of falling participation across other sports within the region. Even in the past, being a community sports club held no guarantee of longevity. Our local pub has several historical trophies for clubs that no longer exist. That's a stark warning for us all. The main barrier for rural sports is undoubtedly affordability. We struggle with lower membership numbers, limited sponsorship opportunities, and restricted access to national funding compared to urban clubs. This makes it incredibly challenging to fund even the most basic operational needs of a sports club, especially under the current one-size-fits-all participation model. The second barrier is accessibility. Oxford's situated in the foothills of the Southern Alps, approximately 1 hour's drive northwest of Christchurch. Whilst the families of our younger children enjoy the stunning backdrop of our in-house programme, the families of older children travel well over 1,000 kilometres during the course of the season. This travel commitment has a massive impact on the overall attractiveness of rural sports participation. The third barrier then is the need to make sure that the sport is appealing for parents as much as it is for children. The more friction or inconvenience that occurs, no matter how small or unforeseen, the lower the attractiveness of the participation, even if it's free. Consider, for instance, a burger meal voucher on a player of a day certificate. Makes kids really, really happy to get that. Not so the parents when they have to travel 80-kilometre round trip to redeem it. A local, cost-effective, accessible product is essential for the future of rural sport. The majority of parents will not travel to seek out sport if it's not available locally. Similarly, unless parents are actively involved in sports themselves, they won't always come to find us. To increase rural community sport participation, all of us need to get out, engage with them during their daily routines, and let them see the benefits firsthand. And where better than that at school? To this aim, we've started a programme of football sessions within 3 of our junior schools. Over 150 tamariki have so far taken part in the sessions. I think you may be quite shocked to learn that less than 5% of the children across those schools belong to a sports club or a sports team. That's despite the reported average across New Zealand being 77% participation for tamariki. It suggests that thousands of rural children across New Zealand are not accessing club-based sports, pretty much due to the barriers that I've outlined, and the urban participation statistics are actually masking this issue. We see our rural schools programme as the core strategy to implement into Whare Tapawhā and building a culture of physical and mental wellbeing for child and youth development within our community. Yet critically, easy access to funding continues to be our primary barrier to establishing it. In schools where we've marked out pitches, children now organise their own lunchtime games with coats as goalposts. I think we've all been there as kids. We want to help those schools, and many more, by funding proper goals, by providing good quality equipment and maintaining the pitches. It's achievable, but with the funding barriers we face, it's a long way off a reality. So this is our challenge to you, the decision makers for each of you sports within the room. Inclusivity and diversity is not exclusive to gender and ethnicity alone. This year is our 20th anniversary. Our tamariki represents the future of our rural community sport. They're the participants of today who will become the rural community leaders of tomorrow, and a few may even become our national sporting heroes. They need your support. Each of you can leave here and make a conscious decision to make rural sports accessible, affordable, and appealing. Thank you for your time.
Cheers, Keith, thank you. This next kaupapa, it's actually my privilege to introduce you to Tucker and the team from Shamrock Boxing in Marae Nui, Napier, in Hawke's Bay, the beautiful community that is Marae Nui. Little story before I get Tuck up, but my father was born and raised in Marae Nui and spent a few years there. And if he had kaupapa such as what we're about to hear from Tuck and the team, I might have actually seen him exercise for once in his life, and I wouldn't have had to carry him all the way to the rugby field and back. So for me, this kaupapa is close to home, and I'm sure you'll be able to feel the aroha from Tucker and the team as well. And when we think about community, you can't spell community without unity. You can't spell unity without why, and you'll hear the why come through quite strongly. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Tucker and the team to the stage. Mauri ora.
Kia ora. Suicide. My son's committed suicide 2022. Something I don't want any parent to go through. The loss, the grief. This is why I'm doing my kaupapa today. So 2023, I started and named Shamrock Boxing Marae Nui, Napier. I started off with 2 kids. I now have over 100 kids a day that train in our gym. My why is Shamrock, my son, getting our kids into a positive space, away from the drugs, the gangs, because in our community there's a lot of these gangs and a lot of drugs out there. I was into drugs myself. I got into a better space. The kids got me in the right space. They made me see the light. I'm 14 months clean now. Having these kids, thank you. Having these kids with me is a blessing. They made me see the light, and they get me up here now doing speeches because I talk to them every day. Now, 100's a big number for a low decile community of Marae Nui, which it is. No, we pay our own. I don't pay give them no fees, don't charge them no fees. We just go off selling raffles. So we also go around our community. We have other kaupapas that we support and jump in with them. We also do a lot of travelling. We went to Waikari Moana. I took 30 kids there as we didn't have much transport. That was a big barrier. Taking them to Waikari Moana Lake, doing cultural activities also, and just for kids that haven't been out of our community. We've got about 20 that's never been out of Napier, so that's awesome. And to bloody nervous. So this is my why: safe space, my home. I opened up my home to my whole community. The kids love it, and again, they make me shine with what the trainings they are doing, training up for tournaments. I also connect with our local rugby team, Marae Nui rugby team. They come and train with us sometimes also. We're all nervous right now, but I don't think I'll look at the screen. So this is my why is Shamrock and getting our kids into a positive space on where they are today, and it is working. If it wasn't for my family, my wife, my brother and sister down there, I don't know where I'll be today. Opening up is a big thing. Mental health. I went through a lot of mental health, and the drug addiction is bad in Marae Nui, Napier, and I'm here today. Proud to be Māori, proud to be up here with everyone today. So this is the rugby team right there. They come and do a training at least once or twice a week. It's a real privilege to have them because they're actually our kids' inspiration for when they get to that age. I get our kids to not only do boxing but encourage them to do all these sports. There's a lot of girls out there that do their netball, basketball, soccer, and that's definitely something I encourage them to do. So if you see there, we're also engaging with other gyms around Hawke's Bay. This gym here is another low decile community of Flaxmere. Engaging together as Māori coming together is something important to me, because that's something I didn't do when I was young. You know, getting out there, meeting all these other young guys is definitely something I want to keep showing our kids. And this one here was an award that I got, the Napier City Pilot Award, for what I'm doing in my community. That was a big blessing. I had our kids there, doing me a haka. We're all proud of our kids and where they are today. We had a tournament last week, 6 fighters. We won 5-2 by TKO and 1 lost by split decision. That was our first tournament, and getting real proud of our kids, myself, my community, and seeing Miriam Kamo represent us on TV the other week. Yeah, on what I'm doing. Yeah, and those are the little kids, and that's our street. We're a home-based grassroots boxing gym, and what I say to the kids is, warriors in the ring, champions in the home. Thanks.
Cheers, Tucker. Thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable. Last night there was a couple of messages that came out around keeping kids out of court and sport. Obviously, from what we've heard, is definitely one of those vehicles that can have that value proposition. So quite fitting to close on that note. And I would like to hand it back to Jenny May. Kia ora, team.
Thank you to Karen and Junior for facilitating that session. I guess the only thing to do is now a round of applause again for our community impact and environmental sustainability winners from last night. Oh shoot, sorry, I will stop doing that. And Tuck, thank you for sharing your story. One thing I do always say whenever I can is that by telling your story, you give others permission to tell theirs. So sorry to hear about your boy, but thank you for the mahi that you are doing with our young people. Nō reira, tēnei te mihi aroha ki a koe. I'm really